What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video is going to be about a team in the Retro Cup. They got me some ELO gains, which is incredibly nice right now because the game likes to be doing me one of these. We're going on an up and down, and I'm trying to make some plays. But one of the teams that helped me make some plays recently was this team with Grumpig in the lead. Now, there's going to be a Grumpig-Furret core. This core is one of the most consistently strong cores in the Retro Cup. That is no secret whatsoever. But what are we using as our third to try and counter the meta? We're going to be trying Cradily on the safe switch as a very strong way to lure out a fighter or have a good amount of play into almost everything else. As Rock Tomb, being as spammy as it is on Cradily, just such a powerful move. I would not be surprised to see this move get nerfed at some point. Let me know in the comments what move you think should be nerfed next season. I'm sure there's at least a few. But let's get into these games here. Without any more stalling, getting into this first one here, we're going to have our Grumpig on the lead versus an aurorus. This is good for us because we have Dynamic Punch, but the opponent obviously has the ability to go for that bait on the Meteor Beam potential, but they're just going to go straight for Weather Ball here, and I'm absolutely fine with letting this go, knowing it's not going to one-shot me or come close to it. Opponent will go into Jumpluff, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fire off a Shadow Ball. In essence, I wanted to do some chip damage here, but I wasn't really sure that this is like what I... I'm just trying to think of, like, how do I want to deal with this thing? But now that I see that the Shadow Ball does about half-ish, right? We can now go for a Rock Tomb, which is going to do almost the rest of the HP of this Jumpluff. It does about just like 45-ish% to Jumpluff. Opponent going for the Aerial Ace, but not wanting to get debuffed before they throw their next move. Old Man Brain taking in game one. I can't speak clearly, but we get them deep in the red here. This farm down is going to be absolutely nasty as they're not able to get to another charge move in time, and we're going to be able to hit the aurorus with some Rock Tombs and maybe even get to another one if they try to farm us down. We are low, but the attack drop here might be huge, but the opponent lets it go, and I'm immediately pivoting back into Grumpig, which is one of the safest mons in this meta because Ghost and fighting coverage is almost completely... No, it is completely perfect coverage. Nothing resisted in this meta. Yes, there are things that have good matchups into Grumpig. However, there are none that are able to resist its moveset. We're going to be having Furret sitting in the back, able to clean up this game. We just need to get the shield off the opponent's Grumpig. They're going to go for a charge move, and at this point, I'm all in on giving the game to Furret with a shield. We're going to take the Dynamic Punch. Opponent doesn't need a Shadow Ball to KO. In comes the Furret, hitting for those super effective moves. I'm thinking I'm just going to go for the Swift, apply this damage before they have a chance to catch it on their aurorus. I know that their switch clock wasn't quite up yet, but I wanted to guarantee I got that damage in before anything happened. They're going to go for a Dynamic Punch here. They shouldn't have enough energy to get to another, so they're going to probably come in with the aurorus at some point and try to get a move off, but unfortunately, Furret's too healthy, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. Next game up, we got Grumpig on the lead versus another Grumpig. It's Grumpig on Grumpig violence here in game two. Let's see who decides to throw the bait or the Shadow Ball first. I am full sending because I have been baited on so many times. I'd rather not let it happen again. I'm going to shield up. If it's a Shadow Ball, I'm good. If it's a Dynamic Punch, I'm going to cry. But no manly tears here today. Shadow Ball is going to do a lot of damage if they decide to let it go. And they do! And then they switch into Furret. And I don't really have I just don't have a very strong response here. But what I can do is bank up some energy back on my Grumpig and go ahead and get into Cradily. Cradily's Rock Tombs do about half with the Bullet Seeds. So we're going to be able to apply some good damage here. But they're still going to be able to do quite a bit back in return here with Trailblaze and Sucker Punch, keeping the debuff even here. I'm really not worried about getting Switch at this point because Furret is just one of those things that's so incredibly neutral. I don't really need to worry about getting Switch. I can just save a nice amount of farm or some shields, or just for Grumpig and Furret, like, they are just so incredibly good. Now I'm going to go for this Dynamic Punch. Opponent is going to be taking that or has to shield. The opponent is looking to get that Sucker Punch farm down, but they're going to go ahead and throw move instead. And that's okay with me. I can come in with my own Furret here. I save the shield because I know their Grumpig probably has a move stored when they swapped out to catch that Shadow Ball on Furret, by the way. But they have a move, of course, stored. I cannot shield here. I have to save it for the Grumpig. Swift is going to do a little bit of damage here. Let's see what the opponent's got in the back. Are we going to be able to take this game? It's a Golem. This is a fine Golem to see. Opponent goes for the catch of the Trailblaze, but I saw them stop, and they know it's over. Good game to the opponent. Also loving the Alolan Golem Spice. Next game, we got Grumpig on the lead versus a Jumpluff. I'm going to go for an immediate switch to Cradily in this lead. And the reason why is because it takes 7 Fairy Winston to get to the acrobatics. That takes 14 turns. That means it's going to be 1 turn for us for the switch, plus another 12 turns to get to that Rock Tomb. So we can actually get there before they can and get a debuff unless they swap out. Now, the opponent's going to come in with an Aurorus, and I'm fine with this. I'm going to go ahead and shield the first one. They have not enough energy to get to a second move, so I'm actually going to go for the Rock Tomb here because I'm going to immediately pull a shield or do a ton of damage to the opponent. They decide to let it go, and I actually think from this range, I can live the Weather Ball that is coming from this from the Aurorus. Aurorus isn't going to be able to get this knockout, but we're going to be able to farm down when we have a Bullet Seed frenzy going on here. Rock Tomb and a half loaded. Opponent comes back in with a Jumpluff, looking to absorb the energy, but they may have to shield it. I am going to get rid of this Jumpluff if I can help it. Opponent, however, is going to be able to farm down right as we get to the move, unfortunately. But now I have to figure out, well, I'm going to absorb this energy. Now the opponent is going to immediately switch into Feraligatr, and that is a big no-no, trainer, because Feraligatr is doing double resisted Shadow Claw damage, and it is not happy to see this. Now, thankfully, us getting switch advantage here ends up making a big difference, because they were not able to align if they didn't want to. Like, they would have been able to align the Gator on the Grumpig, which would have been a very, very bad matchup for the Grumpig. Furret has a much better time here. We're going to be able to almost Sucker Punch down, but at this point, I'm giving the game to Grumpig with a shield. I can just simply farm down with the Grumpig and get to a Shadow Ball here against the opponent's Jumpluff, and I can also eat any one move here, so I'm going to go ahead and let the first one go, as I would rather them go for the Aerial Ace and mess up and give me the bait call. And if they had gone straight for the acrobatics, I would have been fine, because we could have just gone ahead and, we could have gone ahead and lived one acrobatics either way. So that was a lot of energy that they would have had to go through. The dynamic punch is going to be enough at the end game here to take it for us. Well played to the opponent. Grumpig-Furret core going ham in this meta. Talonflame up next, and this is one I'm not really sure how to properly play, but I'm going to go into my Cradily here and just try to see if I can generate some kind of an advantage. I know I'm going to get an early shield advantage here if I go for this Rock Tomb right before they get to their move. They now are basically going to have to go for the Brave Bird here, or end up giving me an HP. Like I needed this to be Brave Bird, and in hindsight, I kind of think that it was probably better for me not to shield it. But we're going to be going for the Rock Tomb. They come in with a Superior. I was not expecting a Superior to hit the field, I'm not going to lie. But Rock Tomb is going to do a decent chunk of damage, and the opponent actually decides to throw right away here. I'm going to let this go. No reason to shield at this point. They've been debuffed. The Frenzy Plant is going to come through, and I'm actually going to go straight to my Grumpig and save the Cradily for later. We're even able to outpace and get to the Dynamic Punch before the opponent can fire off their Frenzy Plant, which is really, really nice here. They do let it go, and at the same time, I'm going to let it go as well. I'm hoping that maybe with a shield, my Furret can find its way through the opponent's Talonflame. They're going to come back in with that Talonflame, though, and they're actually going to be able to get to a move before I can, and I'm wondering if it's worth it to spend the shield here or not. I decide I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot, and then we're going to go for the Shadow Ball here to try and get the final shield off the opponent, but because they have Brave Bird, it makes this very difficult to go through this endgame. I have to swap here if I don't want to give the farm up, but it looks like I'm just going to go ahead and try to get to a move. And what I was trying to do there is I was trying to leave myself within just a couple of side waves of another charge move so that I could swap out with the energy and at some point come in and get into a charge move before the Incinerate finished if I had to have the Talonflame in front of me later. But unfortunately, it leaves me down to no choice. I must make a savage catch. And they go for the Brave Bird, but they undercharge it, and unfortunately, that means they're going to be able to get a farm down here. And I need this to be something I can beat in the back. I see it's a Cradily, and I'm like, there's no way I think that I can win this game, because I've been on that side of the Cradily matchup before, so good game to the opponent. My Nemesis is back. Let's see if I can figure out another way to deal with this thing. I'm going straight to Cradily again, but they go into a Furret, and because we swapped at the same time, Rock Tomb is reached, and I actually can safely just let this first move go. It's the Trailblaze is going to be the weakest one that they're going to send my way, so I don't really feel like I need to shield it at all. We're going to be looking to take this on the chin, and Cradily is just going to go and do its thing. Going for the Rock Tomb here. This would take out the opponent if they let it land, and again, I'm just thinking of a way to win this game neutrally with Grumpig and Furret, now that I know what the opponent has as the Talonflame, right? So I think at this point, I can live this, I can get a farm down, I'll be just a couple Bullet Seeds away from a Rock Tomb, and then surely I should be able to make something happen here. Opponent comes back in with the Talonflame. I'm going to throw after 2 Bullet Seeds, because if I throw after 3, there's a chance that the Incinerate damage registers at the end of my 3rd Bullet Seed, and I didn't want to take that chance. Now we're going to swap straight into Furret. Opponent has a move look like banked on their Talonflame, and I'm going to try to go for as much damage as I can with Furret. There's no reason for me to go for Trailblaze here because, unfortunately, it's resisted. And so I'm just going to go straight for these Swifts and look to just eat a move here. If it's Frenzy Plant, great. But the opponent going for the Aerial Ace because we have 2 shields. They're trying to get a cheeky bait in. But at this point, I was very happy to just leave my Grumpig with full HP to be able to finish this game off for me. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this move go. If it's not a Frenzy Plant, it will not knock out. But it is. We get the farm on the Grumpig. And I just need to get to 2 Shadow Balls. Let's see if we can do it. The opponent is going to be going for a charge move here. They have shown a move. We're going to see if they have the Flame Charge, and that is going to be tough. What I need to do now is I need to go for a catch. I'm not able to do it successfully. And I think that's going to end the game right there, unfortunately. I was confident that I was going to have it. Perhaps the right call would have been to shield the Furret because of the HP that it had left. I'm not even able to get to another move before the Incinerate would register, so that's going to be a 3-2 to start. But we do even better in the next set because I don't post these games unless I go 7-3 with a team, and I feel like it's actually worth posting. So, into the next set, we're going to be starting off the winning set here with another Jumpluff lead, going straight for the Rock Tomb. I'm either pulling an early shield off the Jumpluff, or they're just going to tank this, and now it's very much in range of something else on my team to deal with it later, which is why I like landing that Rock Tomb right away. Because even though Jumpluff has energy, I can also knock it out with a Shadow Ball just about, or I could even possibly knock it out with a Swift and some Sucker Punches from Furret. So we have ways. There are definitely ways. Trailblaze, not going to be something I'm worried about. We're going to go straight for the next Rock Tomb here and look to try to get rid of this Furret before it can wreak havoc on my Grumpig or anything else on my team. The opponent does decide to shield up here. I can go for a Rock Tomb here if I want to, and I'm going to. However, the opponent looks to go for a CMP, and Furret apparently wins it. Thank you. That's okay. Thank you for bringing it to me. Trailblaze is going to get the shield. I think that this is important. I'm going to go for the second Rock Tomb. Opponent looks to apply a shield to get switch advantage here. And because they're debuffed, I'm going to go ahead and let this move go on my Furret. Furret, Grumpig, again, we leave those two to handle the end game, and there's not a lot they can't do together. We're going to be looking to let the next move go on Furret. I really don't want to eat another charge move if I don't have to. And thankfully, we are getting this farm down. Opponent has no shields. There is an Arctibax in the back, which is probably because this is the action team he posted with Arctibax. And we have a lot of energy, though, and that's going to actually be pivotal in allowing us to win this game because of that energy. We're going to be able to throw 2 Swifts and get into Grumpig here after the Arctibax has fallen low, and they're nearly in Psywave down range, which is what I'm looking to do. And I don't think there's any move. I believe they're running Icy Wind and Dragon Claw. They're going for the Icy Wind, knocking down my attack, but the opponent now looks to go for a charge move, and now I have a difficult decision to make. Is this an Acrobatics or is this the Aerial Ace? It's the Aerial Ace! We're going to be able to fire off a Shadow Ball after that. I could have shielded, but I knew that they were going to have 2 moves just about anyway. The thing is, though, is that that was a very gutsy call, and I don't know if it was the right one. And maybe that was a safe shield. Y'all can let me know in the comments what you think. But this is going to be getting us out of HP. The Furret comes in, gets the farm down, and the opponent's Arctibax is too low for it to do anything, and that's going to be a good game to the opponent. Well played. Next game, we got Grumpig on the lead versus another Furret. Straight to Cradily, because I don't like this. I don't want to have to take those super effective Sucker Punches, and we can go for the Rock Tomb right away before the opponent throws their Trailblaze, just like the Jumpluff matchup. Same thing, different looking Pokemon, but we're going for the Rock Tomb, doing about half. The opponent now comes in with a Dusknoir, and they're on Astonish, so I know that their first Dynamic Punch is going to be on 5. So I'm thinking I might be able to outpace this thing here. Maybe I should try. But alternatively, I can also just go for a farm down with Furret, which, because they have extra energy, I actually decide to spend a shield on a potential Dynamic Punch. And then I go 1 more Bullet Seed, thinking that they're going to get to the next one after their 9th overall Astonish. And they shield, which is really nice. So now what I can do is I'm just going to go ahead and let this move go. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to let Furret come in and get a farm down here. Opponent is double debuffed. Even a Dynamic Punch isn't going to do too much, but I'm actually going to hard swap in because they lived, or because they, we lived. I didn't think that we're going to live that. I mean, it's Dusknoir. I genuinely thought I was just going to go down, but that's okay. We're going to come in with the Furret, leave Grumpig in the back, hopefully to be able to do something to the opponent here. Opponent goes ahead and spends their final shield on this Furret. And now I, again, have a choice to make. Am I going to go ahead and let this go, or am I going to go ahead and give my Furret the shield? And I do. I'm going to go try and get this farm down. Opponent getting gone. After the Sucker Punch farm down, in comes a Drifblim. This is a really, really awkward end game. I got to go for the Trailblaze here and look to try to get this thing as low as I can with the Sucker Punches. And I might even be able to make a catch here, but I'm going for this Trailblaze right now, but the opponent goes for the charge move, which will now lock in this game for us, I believe. Icy Wind is going to knock out. Cradily has the Rock Tomb loaded from earlier. Blink and you might have missed it. Rock Tomb's taking out the opponent, and in comes Dusknoir to get Psywave down by the full HP Grumpig, and that's going to be a good game. Well played to the opponent. Getting into our next battle, we got Grumpig on the lead versus another Shadow Jumpluff. These things are everywhere, and I'm tired of seeing them, but here we are anyway. Going straight back into the Cradily. This is honestly a strategy that has worked for me consistently, and one of the things that I'm always preaching to everybody is if you find something that works and does positive work, if it works for you in a positive way in your games, keep doing it until it stops working. So I have continued to do this Cradily safe swap into the Jumpluffs, and it has been working just great. I'm expecting the opponent to try and go for a catch here, but they actually don't. So they might be weak to Cradily in the back, or have a better answer in the back to the Grumpig, and they're trying to get switch advantage from me here, which I'm not sure if I need to let them, but I'm going to let this move go in case they go for the aerial ace, and they go straight for the acrobatics, but we live on 1 HP, but are not able to get to a move. Grumpig's going to have to come back in. Opponent comes in with a Furret. I'm going to go for the dynamic punch here to try and get that final shield from them. Their Furret has some energy, but we should be able to make some magic happen here with these Pokemon. These are dynamic Pokemon. They have just fantastic coverage in this meta, and I am excited to see what this endgame looks like. I already know what it looks like, but I'm trying to build that suspense for y'all. Kids are being weird in the space next to me here. Furret taking a Swift here, and now here's the thing, right? If a Furret trailblazes, and I've yet to figure out the correct way to play this, and if I have to see these Pokemon anymore after this meta, I don't know, man. But I've been trying to figure out the way to play the Furret mirror. I'm just not 100% sure what that is, but we get to come in with our dynamic punch here, fire it off, but unfortunately, the opponent was able to get a final shield from me here. I don't know if I just swapped too late or they just get to the move that quickly. I try to overfarm as much as I possibly can here before this Arctibax can get to another move, but unfortunately, it might not be what I need it to be, because Grumpig is so low at this point that it's not going to be able to take much more damage. Furret's also very low. I'm going for the farm down on the Grumpig, but unfortunately, the opponent makes a last-second Swift, and my hope of winning this game flies out the window as the opponent now comes in with a Jumpluff, which had a move loaded, and is able to get it off. Very well played by the opponent. Got me quite a bit at the end, even flexing the fact that they had the acrobatics. Good game. Next game, Grumpig into Toxapex, a deceptively neutral matchup, but it should be good for Grumpig because you're applying those super effective stab Psywaves in this matchup and being able to hit for Shadow Ball, but a Sludge Wave will still do a ton of damage from Grumpig. The effect that the opponent's staying in here, I'm valuing the energy on Grumpig. So what I'm going to look to do is win this matchup by as much as I can, but also try to come out with energy, because energy from Grumpig, as we've said many times by now, cannot be walled, and the opponent decides to get his shield here. I'm going to overfarm by a bit more and look to go for another Shadow Ball, and if I have to, I will put down a second shield to win this matchup, because again, I will be able to leave it with energy on my Grumpig, which is absolutely paramount in this meta, to be able to just apply that damage forward into the rest of this team. The opponent, however, is going to look to stay in and get farmed down. They may only have one good answer in the back to the Grumpig, and it is going to be... It's a Furret, isn't it? Tell me it's a Furret. It's always a Furret! They come up with the Furret, and we're going to go for the dynamic punch and look to swap out after this so I don't have to take any more super effective sucker punches. We're going to be going into the Cradily here, looking to get to a charge move, but the opponent, unfortunately, is able to win CMP again against our Cradily, which you would really think the Cradily, being a menacingly handsome flower, would be able to win that CMP, but unfortunately not. We're going to be going for the Rock Tomb, this time on bad timing, but opponent goes for another charge move. This, unless they were able to get a second sucker punch in somewhere, this should just be a Swift, but it was not to be. I missed a sucker punch somewhere in my counting today, so we end up taking the Trailblaze, but that's okay. Opponent comes in with a Oranguru, and we have the Furret for that. We always have Furret for that. Opponent going for the charge move here. They can only go for Trailblaze or Brutal Swing or Foul Play. Nothing here is particularly dangerous. They go for the Trailblaze to boost their damage, but we can just go for the Swift. And because Confusion is such a slow charge move, we have a very, very forgiving window to be able to fire off that one and then the move. But I just went for the Swift here because they didn't have anything else to swap into in the back to catch the move, so we take it. Good game. If they had something in the back to switch, I would have absolutely thrown in the middle of that Confusion and not right away. Next game, we have a Goodra in the lead here. Very neutral. Goodra's a solid pick in this meta, having energy that works into a lot of the top things and just has really good pressure with Dragon Breath into anything it doesn't. So Dynamic Punch is going to land first. That's going to do a lot more than an Aqua Tail is going to do, and that leaves the opponent in the red. I know I can live one move here, so I'm going to go ahead and match shields with the opponent and look to go for this Dynamic Punch on the money here. Just right as soon as I get to it, I can launch this move, get rid of this goodra, or get a shield off them. Then you decide to let it go, and in comes Typhlosion, and I bring in my Cradily because I have no idea what to do when I see this thing. And as someone who's recently also run Shadow Typhlosion, I can say this thing cooks in this Retro Cup. Video on that tomorrow. You guys are going to enjoy that one, I bet you. Opponent is going to go for a massive overfarm here, and I'm just going to let this go at this point. I'm just going to say, you know what? Throw a Thunder Punch at me. And they do. That is absolutely huge. They're going to come in with a Cradily. I probably should have saved this energy, as I now really don't have anything to counter the Cradily with. Grumpig is in the back. I'm considering maybe just trying to spend my shields to get a Dynamic Punch off here, but fortunately, they throw, and I'm going to be able to now come in with my Grumpig that does have the Dynamic Punch. They should be 4 away from their Rock Tomb here because they had just thrown right when they got to the move against my Cradily. Dynamic Punch is going to get the final shield from the opponent here, and I'm looking to go for another one, but they throw energy, and I'm thinking, do I want to let this go, or I can get to another Dynamic Punch, and that's what I'm going to do. I had considered perhaps just going ahead and not doing it that way, but I'm going to go for this opponent's going to go for the Thunder Punch. I'm going to go for the Dynamic Punch, and I think that my Furret should be able to handle the opponent's Cradily from where they're at. They are not in another charge move, thankfully. We're able to get the Sucker Punch down, and the opponent just one Trailblaze from being taken out here. They are going to go for the Rock Tomb, though, to hamper a little bit of our damage, but at this point, we should have enough HP left on our Furret to be able to fire off this, I would say hawk off this Trailblaze. I don't know where that came from, but we're going to fire off a Trailblaze and take the game here for a sick 4-1 finish to the set. Getting some nice gains with this team on a stream I did last week. This team has been incredibly good throughout the weekend and even into early this week. I hope that maybe this team could help you climb. It's very consistent. You don't have to run Cradily. It could really be anything safe switchy or just good that you want to put in that you think is good in this meta. There's a lot of things that fit there because the Grumpig-Furret core is so good on its own, just generally speaking. So let me know in the comments what you thought about this one, what move you think this get nerfed next season, and as always, appreciate y'all. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.